Hey guys, this is John, and I'm here on this snowy Saturday for the first stop of the Three Men in the Basement comic crawl. And the first stop is in Hudson, New Hampshire, Richard's Comics and Toys. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so we're talking about the Three Men in the Basement comic crawl 2026 edition. This is my first time attending this comic crawl, and I was really looking forward to going to this one. I had seen a few YouTube videos about it, both I think over on like Lunch Money Comics and Lowe's Comic Journey. It seemed like a really fun way to go with the group, maybe visit some new to you comic stores, and of course, get some great deals. First off, I would give a big shout out to the actual members of Three Men in the Basement, to Roger, Otto, and Chinmo. And a big thank you especially to Chinmo, who took care of all the logistics for this event, coordinating with the comic store owners, figuring out the dinner spot, and of course communicating with all of the people interested in attending the comic crawl. I had a chance to speak to each of them at different points during the day, and a great bunch of guys. They of course are right here on YouTube and have a weekly live stream every Wednesday night, as well as some additional videos thrown in the mix. So in case you don't subscribe to them, I'll have a link down in the description below. So the comic crawl took place back on February 7th, a Saturday, a very, very snowy Saturday. In fact, a good amount of people that had wanted to attend could not, because just driving up from even Rhode Island, let alone Connecticut, proved kind of treacherous or unsafe. So even though the overall group was smaller, I think even at the very first stop, we still had about a good 20 people, maybe between 20 and 30. And that actually might have worked out for the best anyhow. I mean, first off, it's a little less competition for Huntingford books, but also the first stop over in Hudson, New Hampshire was Richard's Comics, and the store, it wasn't huge. It's actually split up into a lot of different compartments, but take my word that things were tight, and also comics and toys and other collectibles were packed to the gills. Every spot available on the wall, on the floor, on tables, there was something interesting to look for. Let's kick off with the dollar bin finds. While I will divide up this haul into the different price tiers, keep in mind that the total cost for everything I got was in fact much lower than if you add everything up as I go along. So let's start off with a kind of unusual choice for me, perhaps. We got Punisher War Journal number 8. I picked this one up because of the Jim Lee cover, and after doing a little research after the fact, it turns out Jim Lee did maybe like 5 or 6 different covers for Punisher War Journal. Preceding this one was the first meeting of Punisher and Wolverine, which I had already. This one stood out to me because I thought I recognized it from somewhere. It's actually the old NES Punisher game ads that ran in comic books and magazines. I don't recall ever playing that game, but I know the ad was everywhere. And of course, I love me some Jim Lee art, and I might keep an eye out in future dollar bin dives for the other Punisher War Journal covers he did. We also have Wolverine issue 15. This is going in my Wolverine Volume 2 run, Volume 2 being his first ongoing series. I had a pretty beat up copy that I got in the past, so I wanted to upgrade that to something just, a little more passable, and sure enough, I found it in the dollar bin. Then we also have my growing collection of New Mutants, issue 20. That's Magma on the cover, and this is a cover by Bill Sienkiewicz, who did some great New Mutants covers. There's something about the googly eyes, I'll be sure to zoom in here, but the googly eyes on Magma here, it's just, it's something a little bit goofy, but charming about it. Also, this is a part of the Demon Bear storyline, which I wanted to grab all the parts of. And also in the dollar bin, we've got some Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. This is issue 103. This is notable for having the first published writing of Peter David. Rest in peace. Also from Spectacular Spider-Man, got this really cool find, issue 213 in the poly bag. First off, this cover is by Joe Madureira, who 90s comics fans will probably know and love from his X-Men run. This one also being in the poly bag, this is one of the Spider-Man animation cells that I'm missing. I didn't get the Spectacular Spider-Man issue back in the day. and I didn't get Marvel Tales. So missing those two, I was very happy to find this in the dollar bin. And you know what? I am not keeping this in the bag. I want to see that animation cell. So got a trusty pair of scissors here. Let's just unbag this here right now.
A few moments later.
And even right on the back here, you can see the plug for the animation cell. I had a little short video about them. I still have the, my original collection from back in the day. Love that 90s Spider-Man animated series. These kind of deluxe editions had a foil cover, which is different from the standard flat version, and I think the newsstands and the standard versions also had a different color, so these really stand out. It's good to have apps like CLZ, which I keep my collection as well as my want list on it. Then we have the little pamphlet that had more information on the animation cell. This came packaged with each of these special comics, and then the cell itself. There you go. Still intact. It's, Peter Parker changing to Spider-Man. That's awesome. So I keep these in the bag and board. They display nicely that way. Let's see what else is here. Spider-Man meets the X-Men on Fox. A little advertisement for the show. Man, what a time to be a kid with the X-Men animated series and the Spider-Man animated series running concurrently. So moving on in the dollar haul, I got a bunch of Mighty Thor. I had a few odds and ends left in the Simonson run. I'm not trying to put together the full run, but I want to get some key issues and even all the Beta Ray Bill covers of the Simonson run. First one up is issue 344, and this one has the first appearance of the villain Malekith. Then with issue 347, which I don't think it's his first cover appearance, but it goes along with the first story arc containing Malekith. And then this one, this is a great, even if you haven't read the Simonson run, I think this is such a great standalone issue. 362, where the Executioner takes the spotlight in this one. I don't want to give too much away, but again, it's one and done. It's a very heroic turn for the Executioner, was usually a antagonist to Thor. I just remember this one very fondly and wanted a single issue of this. And the remaining run filler I found in the dollar bins was for X Factor. I'll go pretty quickly through here because I don't think there's any key issues necessarily, but we've got issue number 20, issue 27, issue 28. I do love this era of costumes on X Factor. Issue 29. Issue 30.
Oh my god!
And last but not least, issue 42. So I think I'm kind of at this point looking at getting the first 100 issues or so of X Factor. Last year I completed the Peter David run. Then I got additional issues from the Louis Simonson's run and things that involve Apocalypse. I'm always game for. So we've kind of just expanded that. I've restricted it at least to only picking up X Factor in person in like $1 or 2 for $1 bins. And I think I'm okay going after that run in that very budget-friendly way. Moving on, there are a ton of $2 bin finds. First one, I got to complete a mini-series, and I do love me my mini-series because I feel like they're very digestible reads for some stories that I maybe normally would either like overlook or just miss out on. It's Fantastic Four versus the X-Men issue 3, and here's a fun cover with Dr. Doom. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, other than Dr. Doom maybe having mind control some members of the X-Men, and they're attacking Power Pack, a group of superhero kids. Well, the whole miniseries is in my collection now, and I'm gonna tackle that in the near future. Also, I am collecting a good chunk of Mark Spector Moon Knight now, and again, it's one of those where it's not super high priority, but in dollar shows, dollar bins, or something close to that, maybe like $2 and under, I will happily pick up those issues. We have issue number 4, and that's the first appearance of Midnight. a sidekick to Moon Knight, who would later, when I first saw him, he had become a cyborg and turned villain against Moon Knight. So kind of cool to see his startings there, as well as this really cool cover here, issue 29. That's Bill Sienkiewicz, who did a lot of awesome covers on Volume 1. Great to see him doing some more covers on this 90s series of Mark Spector Moon Knight. Then I also got 2 issues of Daredevil, just some run filler as well, issue 234 and issue 246. Picking that up. I'm getting things here and there. The Ann Nocenti run has the higher priority, but if I can find issues at a decent price between numbers 200 and 300, I will pick up that run filler. Then I've had a big chunk of Hulk, and what was cool here is there's some places in their dollar boxes, in their $2 boxes, where it's kind of just, it's bulk essentially. If comics are packed together, you know, back and front, they're only charging you for one book. And that happened in multiple stops from this comic crawl. So I got a good amount of The Incredible Hulk, mostly in the Peter David run, maybe a little bit before actually, now that I'm looking at this. Issue 321 was packed with issue 338. Then with issue 361, this is what I saw first, but when I turned it around, very special issue here, 331. This is Peter David's first issue on The Incredible Hulk. So yeah, definitely not a $2 book. And also just a cool cover of Iron Man going against Grey Hulk / Mr. Fix-It. Then issue 354. There's some great covers by this artist here. I think Jeff Purvis. Some of his covers get a little funky, but I really like this one. And last but not least, issue 356. Again, Mr. Fix-It, Grey Hulk, right there on the cover. So that's it for the $2 finds. Then there were some bins out in the front, the very front, that were 3 for $10, and I got some goodies there, including Beta Ray Bill #1. I have the trade already for this, something I picked up last year, read prior to that. This is all Daniel Warren Johnson, drawn and written. So I kind of want to pick up the single issues. I think I have issue 2 already. This is a 5-issue limited series, I believe. Really cool cover with Fin Fang Foom. Again, I profess my love for the character Beta Ray Bill very often. So if I can find those issues, I'm gonna complete that miniseries. We also have another issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue 60, and this is a cover by Frank Miller. Love the lighting, love the colors on this cover. It's good stuff. And the final issue, filling out that Amazing Spider-Man run, I've got issue 225. I'm very steadily filling out those issues between like 200 and 300 of Amazing Spider-Man, but that's not a run that I'm like rushing to fill. It's if I come across it. Again, the tagline here is, if I come across for a good price, I'm gonna pick it up. And the last few books here I got from Richards Comics are the price as marked. We've got Elektra Assassin issue 4. So I've got one more issue left of this miniseries. This was originally priced at $3. Also for $3 is Moon Knight #25 from the Mark Spector run as well. First meeting of Moon Knight and Ghost Rider. Sometimes I've seen some places listed for like $10 or more. Just for their first meeting, I didn't necessarily want to pay that, so doing for $3 or what will turn out to be less than $3, that works for me. And then the final book here is one that completes a little part of Superman I was collecting, and that is Superman the Man of Steel, issue 18. This features the very first full appearance, I should say, of the villain Doomsday. Doomsday has, in recent years become a very interesting villain. The modern writers have done some cool things with it, changed his look, changed his MO. Also, Doomsday had like what would seem like 24 different cameo appearances before the final reveal. So this one was priced at $10, and I've been on the hunt for it. I've gotten the other kind of cameo appearances that lead up to the death of Superman. So I don't know. It's a fun key from the 90s. I put it on kind of the same level as the first appearance of Bane. They're kind of cut from the same cloth. They were introduced to do a major shakeup to, you know, the Batman and Superman titles. So yeah, here it is. It's a fun cover too, I gotta say. Really enjoy this one. It looks like it's by John Bogdanov. So a lot of books there. Let's see if I can't even pick it up all together, but this plus more, I went up, had a total of, I believe, $59, and then at the register, like, how does 40 sound? And you know, there's no haggling needed, because in my head I'm calculating a total. When it comes out, you know, a nice chunk less than that, that makes me super happy. I don't mind some haggling. I'm not necessarily the best at it, so it also, you know, avoids that whole little, I guess, potentially awkward interaction. But all those books for 40 bucks, that was such an awesome way to start the day. And I hope I can make another trip out there, maybe outside the comic crawl, if the schedule allows. But that being said, let's tee up the second stop to the comic book crawl. All right, guys, so we're done with Richard's Comics, and I'm here at the second stop. Apologies that I didn't get any interior footage. I basically, as I've done in previous videos, I just jumped right into digging, and wouldn't you know it, the whole time blindness thing came into effect, and 2 hours just passed by, 2.5 hours passed by. Got lots of good stuff. Can't wait to show what I got from there. Now I've arrived. It's still snowing out. But I'm here in Burlington, Mass with Counterplay Comics, which I've spoken about many times before. Really looking forward to what Eric, the store owner, might have for this comic crawl. So let's go check it out. So I'm not a stranger to Counterplay Comics in Burlington, Mass. This is also the LCS for Chinmo, our organizer, and in general, I've always had you know, pleasant interactions and pleasant purchases from Eric at Counterplay. And he put out some special short boxes and vintage toys just for the comic crawl. I wasn't in the market for any toys, although I did take a quick look. But man, there are some treasures in the boxes. They were either $2 an issue or 3 for $5. First up, we've got some more Mark Spector Moon Knight. So, you know, filling that run out, we've got issue number 3, issue 23, and this frightening cover, issue 44, which happened to be a Infinity War crossover. I'm gonna guess that might be during Infinity War, the heroes had to face kind of these twisted, monstrous doppelgangers of themselves. I'm gonna guess that's the doppelganger version of Moon Knight. Who knows? We got some older books here too from the Bronze Age. I've got Captain America issue 172, a 20 center. This might be my lowest issue numbered Captain America. Granted, you know, these are probably on the mid-grade, lower mid-grade, but it's a cover by Gil Kane, so I'm not going to complain. Then we have issue 211 as well. I think this is not the first appearance, but it's an early appearance of Arnim Zola, good old stomach face down there. Other books I got, also got a nice upgrade copy of The Thing #1 by John Byrne. I had a lower grade copy and saw this beaut in the box, newsstand no less. And also, it's funny how, you know, sometimes when it rains, it pours. I got a good amount of Spectacular Spider-Man throughout the day. Including this. I just really like this cover, issue 81, featuring Cloak and Dagger. They appeared, you know, in this book, maybe, I forgot, like issue 40-something. So they were frequent guest stars at this time. Also got the Assistant Editor Month book for Spec, issue 86. And this one has art by Fred Hembeck, who did a lot of, I guess, like more parody / comedy. So this is a very, you know, light in tone issue. More Spider-Man. Now, heading over to Web of Spider-Man, we've got another upgrade for me in issue 36. First appearance of Tombstone, who's a very cool villain, and he was used in the most recent cartoon that was on Disney Plus that me and my daughter love in particular. Tombstone, a very different take. It's actually an ally of Spider-Man here. But either way, I think that put out my brain to find the first appearance. My previous copy had more spine ticks, had a little more wear and tear. This one definitely was a better price and a better grade, so I snatched this right up. And also got this cool book right here, Web of Spider-Man, issue 90, the second print, which is gold. The first print is silver. Issue 90 is also known for containing a 30th anniversary poster, which featured the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099, and actually predates what is often touted as his first appearance in ASM 365. And wouldn't you know it, speaking of Spider-Man 2099, I love this cover, I love this character, I love this series. When I saw it, I was trying to make my piles in multiples of 3 to maximize the savings. I had to pick up one of these guys. And man, there's more Spider-Man than I remember. The last one from the $3 for $5 boxes is Amazing Spider-Man, issue 274. Very cool cover here, drawn by Larry Lieber, with various members of the supporting cast, villains, and whatnot. Also got a bunch of issues, mostly for one series, from the back issue bins. These were all priced at about $3 a piece. And before I give you the grand total, Eric knocked these down a little bit, so they're about $2 a piece. We've got Silver Surfer 132, still on the way to completing that 90s Silver Surfer series. And the main dent I want to make here was for the latter portion of Marvel 2-in-1. I think I just want to kind of plug in some holes. This is still one that I have to read most of the books here, but usually the covers intrigue me. I kind of just really like this series, possibly illogically so. I have some sort of weird attachment to it. Anyway, issue 37, featuring Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Issue 60, featuring the Impossible Man. Issue 77, featuring Man-Thing. Issue 88, featuring She-Hulk. Issue 90, featuring Spider-Man. And then this really funny cover, issue 91. I mean, quick question. With that silhouette looming over the thing, who do you think they are teasing for this issue? You can even see it in the word bubble. Oh no, not you. It can't be you. I mean, that's clearly Batman, right? With the pointy ears. It's not actually Batman, unfortunately. I'm sorry, spoiler warning. I think it's the villain, the Sphinx, instead. But a nice chunk of Marvel 2-in-1, which sometimes can be quite overpriced for non-key books. But again, I brought up all my books. They're the discount books. There are a bunch of these from the back issues. Totaled all up, I spent $36 at Counterplay Comics. So very similar price point that I hit at Richards Comics as well. And to me, it's a nice way to pace out my spending for the day. And at this point, I was kind of losing steam. This is a day where like a granola bar was my lunch, and I wasn't sure if I'd continue. There was only one more stop though, and I had never been to that location. It was only, I think, about a 20-minute drive, all on the highway. So even though the snow was still coming down, it was still accumulating, the highways were decent enough. I decided to press forward. And the third and final stop of the comic book crawl was Little Giant Comics up in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Now, this was my first time visiting the store. I have seen a few of the Whatnot shows. I was aware that they had a big space, but I think whatever you see on your phone or on your computer doesn't do justice to the sheer size of Little Giant Comics. I mean, there are statues, action figures, obviously comics, a lot of vintage items, a lot of, I think, kind of like things that I would more categorize as antique. So if your spouse, a significant other is into vintage items and you want to do some comic hunting, this might be the perfect stop for you. I also want to give a shout out to Los from Los Comic Journey. Had a good time just chatting him up during this stop, find out more what he's into, kind of his comic collecting journey, and in addition to what he shares on YouTube. I didn't realize how much he's into it as far as, you know, the cleaning and pressing. So after all the browsing and kind of just having a more chill hangout time, I went up with just one comic. The good part is there are some discounts given to those of us on the comic book crawl. In this case, it was, I believe it was 25% off any of the back issues. So this one recently got added to my radar, wish list, whatnot. And that is Ultimate Fallout number 4, second print. This features the first appearance of Miles Morales as Spider-Man. This is the Sarah Pichelli second print variant. And I really dig it. I mean, one day I might go for the first print where it's a slightly different cover, but his face is obscured. This one I like, it's just front and center. I've got a love for Spider-Man, both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. I mean, easily one of the best modern characters to have been introduced in the past, is it like past decade or two? And obviously very popular thanks to the animated Spider-Man movies from Sony. So this one here, it was priced at $35 after the discount. And I forget again if it's 20 or 25% off, but they made a nice even number of $25. And now I have the second print of Ultimate Fallout 4. So that was, it was nice to visit that spot. I'm glad I kind of pushed through any personal tiredness. But wait, that wasn't quite it for purchases, as Chinmo had set aside a little time right near the end for some trades or purchases to be made between the attendees at the end. And we were, I think there were like 4 of us standing out in the in the parking lot from the trunks of our cars. I personally did not bring any books. I didn't have enough time to put something together, but it was super windy, super cold, probably in the teens or, single digit degree weather. And like a bunch of degenerates were looking at each other's comic books. I, in the end, made a purchase from Chinmo. I feel like it was like the least I could do. Also, I even though I had seen him at other shows like Clam City Comic Con the previous year and the 3 Men in the Basement comic swap, I had not made a purchase from him yet. And after flipping through, there were 2 books that I wanted. I'm still working on that Chris Claremont Uncanny X-Men run, and he had 2 of the issues I needed. We had both issue number 113 here, as well as issue number 119. And while plugging some holes in my collection, 119 also serves as the first cameo appearance of Proteus, the son of Dr. Moira McTaggart. So happy to have been able to pick up something from Chinmo. Kind of a nice end. These were easily the biggest books I picked up during the day. And of course, he gave me a great price on both books. So yeah, that was a lot to take in. Hopefully my recap did justice. But I'm so glad that I took part in this, despite some worries about the weather. I do know for next year, they're looking for maybe a few weeks later, maybe in March sometime, to try to avoid like the peak storm season. I know they've done these comic crawls for the past few years now, and it was such a pleasure to finally be able to join one. So I'm definitely gonna keep my eye out for comic crawls. Hopefully I can make their comic swap coming up in May. But yeah, that'll do it for this comic haul. Let me know if you had a favorite amongst the pickups. Let me know if you've been on a comic crawl before. But I want to thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day for joining me for this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Take care.